Hello and welcome to The Master's Voice, the podcast series on Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pavan Chawla, and yet again, I have a very young media person on The Master's Voice with me today. Follows Kailash Adhikari, who was on an episode recently, and I have with me, I'm delighted to announce and share and introduce and welcome to the show, Vishnu Mohta, co-founder Hoichoi, Executive Director of SVF. Vishnu, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pavanji. Glad to be here.
Very happy that you are here on the show with us, Vishnu, and thank you very much indeed. It's a very, very special eve virtually, just, a couple of days, and Hoichoi will go into its fifth very, very successful year, I'm sure, because the first four have been extremely successful too. But before we start our conversation, and I dare say the conversation is going to be centered a lot on Hoichoi and what it's done over the last 4 years, Vishnu, allow me to do you the honors of introducing you to my listeners. There might be some youngsters, even younger than you, who might not be very, very aware of what you've done. And you've done so much. So, here goes. Vishnu Mohta, co-founder Hoichoi, Executive Director SVF, who I have the privilege of addressing as Vishnu out of fondness. Vishnu joined SVF in 2007 as the head of the digital cinema business after making it the largest player in West Bengal and fourth largest network in India. Within a year of operations, Vishnu now heads the new media division of SVF Entertainment. He launched its first venture, Hoichoi, the Bengali OTT, in 2017 and made it the leading Bengali entertainment platform which showcases originals in the form of web series, films and shorts, movies and free music streaming, targeting Bengalis in India and the Bengali diaspora. Hoichoi will be stepping into its fifth year. In fact, by the time you hear this, it will be in its fifth year in the industry, and it'll be announcing, and probably has definitely announced by now, a whole lot of new content and partnerships, and we are going to talk about those too with Vishnu. Vishnu has worked with KPMG in risk advisory and Lloyds TSB in corporate strategy in their London offices in the past. He has a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Bond University, Australia, and an MSc in International Business from Aston University, Birmingham, UK. Armed with an exceptional ability for identifying solutions to entrenched problems and helping to collaborate with a solution-centric approach across all levels, Vishnu has built long-lasting, profitable business relationships. Vishnu is a member of prestigious organizations including the Entrepreneurs Organization EO and the Indus Entrepreneurs. Vishnu is also a member of the Beta Games Sigma BGS, a society of top 10% students from the best B schools of the world. Experienced in corporate finance and strategy with strong analytical and interpersonal skills, Vishnu has an in-depth understanding of the media and entertainment industry. My very special guest, that is the stellar young professional and leader, Vishnu Mohta, co-founder, Hoichoi, Executive Director, SVF. Vishnu, welcome to The Master's Voice.
Thank you so much. I don't know. That was a very long introduction. Thank you for that. I'm not sure how all of it applies to me or not, but okay. It was interesting hearing about some of the things that I've done. Not all of it being, maybe a little bit of hyperbole, I guess.
We'll get to know if it is hyperbole, if you haven't acquitted yourself well with Hoichoi, and I know you have, and eminently well so, because I was, Vishnu, you'll remember, closely involved with you in launching Hoichoi in beautiful Kolkata 4 years ago. It was the biggest entertainment do that the city had witnessed in a long time. And now, Vishnu, you have led Hoichoi into its fifth year. So what is the kind of growth that Hoichoi has achieved so far as it stepped into the fifth year actually?
So I think, Pavan, you saw it firsthand, being part of, I would call the launch team, having helped us get the message across, the dream across, if you like, on day one when nobody even knew about Hoichoi. It was just a figment of imagination, nothing else. I think luckily being able to turn Hoichoi into a relatively known brand as far as our target audience is concerned. And that's been, my day is made the day, I hear someone, I meet, come across, and I introduce myself as, part of the team at Hoichoi, and he recognizes the brand, and I think take a lot of pride in that in a short time, having been able to be a small part in people's lives as far as entertainment is concerned, and in Bengali specifically is concerned for that matter. And that I think is the real success, and that's the metric that if we are able to continue to be relevant in the mindsets of our audience base, I think we would have done a decent job. It's been 4 years, but I think it's still a very early stages.
Excellent. So that is the emotional matrix. What's the numbers matrix like in terms of growth?
Sure. So, over the last year or so, we've seen our watch time and the time spent of our monthly active streaming users go up 2x. And this has been the continuing trend for the last few years. And very important metric we track is the amount of time that people spend. And I'm happy to reveal that on average, people spend close to about 60 minutes average daily spend time on the platform. I think that's a special number, and I think that's something that we track very closely because it determines how much affinity people have to the content that we put out.
Correct. Vishnu, that's really wonderful. That's really the kind of stuff that's going to keep any OTT platform up and going. Yes, it has received enormous support coming from the SVF family and having that lineage and that wonderful massive content library which SVF, which is the giant in entertainment productions in Eastern India. So while you had a lot of movies, etc. content, from day one I saw your focus was very strongly, very ardently on delivering not only the best in quality and quantity to your users, but it was all about original content, original shows, original series. So what is the kind of investment, what's happening on your content investment, and what have you planned to release in terms of content in the 5th year? What is the slate? What can all your, I'm sure, very happy viewers and subscribers look forward to in the 5th year of Hoichoi?
Sure. So, during the course of the year, I think we plan to release 30 new original shows and movies.
Wow.
In addition to that, we want to make 12 world digital premieres available, which includes the works of people like, mainstream people like Srijit Mukherjee and Anjan Datto.
Wonderful.
And I think it's a very impressive catalog of content. By the end of the year, or even earlier maybe for that matter, I think we should have released our 100th original before the end of the current year, in fact, the calendar year. So I think that's something we take a lot of pride in, and I don't think we would have imagined that to be the case when we started off, I think, this early on.
And what about a lot of world digital premieres too that you have lined up?
Yeah, absolutely. So, some of these films haven't been, these are big budget films and they've not been released in theatres because of the pandemic and theatres being closed. So some really big films that I think we've got lined up with actors like Dev, etc. There's a film called Golandas, there's a film called Kaka Babu, and those are very household names, and I think people will be excited to see them releasing on Hoichoi first.
Excellent. And Vishnu, there are also plans to add a lot of new curated movie titles, right? How many movie titles are you adding, and what's your current movie library like?
So we currently have about 600 odd movies on our platform that span the last 5 decades.
Wow.
And this is the best of Bengali entertainment. In the current year, we want to add another 50 titles which are highly curated, things that we hear a lot of feedback on from customers to add to the platform.
Wow. And what are the other interesting things that you have lined up for your subscribers and Hoichoi users?
So yeah, very recently we launched a new brand under Hoichoi. It's called Hoichoi Freemium, and the intent behind this is that we wanted to make a lot of content available to our customers free of cost also, and even non-customers for that matter. So that allowed them to experience some of our great content without having to pay for it in the first place. And it's in a lot of ways to experience our interface, our playback, get accustomed to the content, etc., and then transition towards a paying customer for that matter. And we're working with some leading brands in that respect. There are no ads still on Hoichoi. That was an original promise that we had made.
Okay.
So these are essentially in content placements which are done very tastefully. They don't come in the way of the storytelling art. So yeah, it's something that we've been trying out recently.
Excellent. And I'm sure that you will be using the freemium feed, so to say, to users to cross-promote some of your best behind paywall titles. So yeah, great way of actually promoting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how are you marketing this freemium offering?
I think, as they say, free sells automatically if it's great content, right? So the best thing we could have done is made it available for free. Now, we don't personally believe in going out and promoting free content. The way we think about it is that, if we put out something that is great, I think the viral effect would have caught on and would bring customers to the platform automatically.
And Vishnu, what is your outlook when you look at the growth pipeline? Okay, what are your plans to grow Hoichoi?
So I think the next phase of growth for Hoichoi lies in a combination of growing internationally, at the same time working with partners through bundling relationship and similar relationships to make Hoichoi available to customers, whether through a direct subscription model or an indirect subscription model through bundle.
Okay.
One unique thing that we've been sort of playing around with is to get deeper in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, is to make Hoichoi available for customers to be able to pay through Kirana stores and through local recharge shops and pay for it by cash. This is something that we are trying out. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've not been able to go very wide with this. But we are working with some key partners to make that happen. At the same time, we're trying to, directly speak to some of these, local mobile shops and recharge shops, etc., to see if they can sort of, carry a Hoichoi subscription also, and people can pay for it with cash, and it gets activated immediately. So that's a unique innovation, I think.
Yes.
It's a way to crack the tier 2, tier 3 market, which may not have as much of a digital penetration in terms of pay ecosystem is concerned.
Absolutely. One of the best enablers in the space actually is Pay Nearby.
Right.
And if you haven't sort of tied up with them, you should really talk to them also.
They are one of our partners, actually. So
yes, they do a brilliant job of inclusion, and they serve through 1.5 million shopkeepers.
Absolutely.
They serve about 225 million Indian population.
Absolutely.
So which is great, and I think I must salute your aggression and your wisdom and your strategy here, Vishnu, for really going to the back of beyond and reaching people through this wonderful pipeline. Very, very nice. And it kind of spreads the net also for you, because Bengalis are really mad about great content. And, the love for content, the love for literature, the love for the finer things, arts, that kind of is the biggest leveler if you look at, Bangla speaking souls who are so evolved and kindred spirits.
Let's not forget all the audiences that we have in Bangladesh also, which is an extremely important strategic market for us,
Exactly.
That's a country that's peace.
Correct. And you also have joint kind of productions happening, right? Between yourselves and them.
It's not joint actually. It's actually content that is produced in Bangladesh with creators and actors and writers who are from Bangladesh. So it's a through and through 100% Bangladesh production for that matter.
But creatively supervised or partnered by you, right?
Well, I wouldn't use the word supervise. I think we think of ourselves as partners to great creators.
Okay.
And we add our experience of 25 years in terms of our understanding of what customers may want. We'll be amiss if we don't use all the data and all the 25 years of experience that we've got serving just one community for that matter. That's all that we add in terms of when we work with creators, is to add our experience over the years, I guess.
And I also hear that Hoichoi plans to produce quite a few originals in Bangladesh for the year 2022. So tell us a little about that. How many originals are you planning?
So we want to do at least 6 original shows. I think at this point in time, as we speak, Bangladesh is still in semi-lockdown, so that's delaying things a little bit. But coincidentally, the last couple of shows that we did, one is called Takbir, one is called Mahanagar, have been huge hits in that in Bangladesh and abroad. And I think that gave us a lot of confidence to move very boldly in that market, because when we entered there, people felt that it was we were very early in that market. Pay ecosystem did not exist. Data is still very expensive. But I think what it proves, these couple of shows, at least last few months, have proved that when there's great content, people find a way to pay for content.
Yes, expansion into Bangladesh, the presence in Bangladesh, awareness has always been there, and Bengalis who live in Bangladesh do love the Hoichoi content. What about further ways into tapping into a larger audience worldwide?
So among the markets, existing international markets where we are already doing great, places like UK, US, Canada, Australia, and a lot of other places. In fact, 30% of our revenue comes from outside India and Bangladesh for that matter. So one of the key focus areas for the current year will actually be to, in the Middle East. And the way we want to make Hoichoi available is through working with different telecom partners in those regions, and through carrier billing, through sachet pricing of Hoichoi, because a lot of blue collar people are from India and Bangladesh for that matter now reside in the Middle East, and I think in a lot of those cases people don't have access to digital currency in a lot of ways. So I think being able to pay through their mobile recharges is the only way to go in that respect. So that's something that we're going to double down on this particular year, I guess.
Excellent. And what are your plans for Hoichoi, that is, during pujas?
So we're releasing probably our most beloved show called Ekin Babu just prior to Pujo, the weekend prior to Pujo. And I think it's probably turned out to be our most loved show because every person of every age group loves that show, whether you're a 13-year-old or a 60-year-old for that matter. And I think it's only timely in a festive period to release a show that families can watch together, I guess.
Right. So from Hoichoi, let's talk now and move on to the industry. What, according to you, have been the most important developments over the last 6 months to 1 year?
The government came out with a framework around self-regulation, digital entertainment providers, and we were part of the IMAI discussions from very early on, where we were liaising with various factions of the ecosystem. And now that it's been formalized, we've been sort of party to the way it came out, and I think we are part of the one of the self-regulated bodies also. And I think this is a very progressive move because it emphasizes democracy in a lot of ways, because it's a self-regulation framework which allows the customer to raise their queries in a convenient manner on the platform, and for us to address the customer's concerns in any way within a time-bound manner. Otherwise, the customer is not happy, there's an escalation matrix, etc. And I think it's a very progressive move, and I think we've been lucky to have been compliant from day one.
So from day one, when you perhaps were the first subscriber to Hoichoi, to today, what has the growth rate been like? I mean, you probably don't want to share actual numbers on a percentage basis. What's the growth been like for Hoichoi, and where do you see Hoichoi going and the OTT streaming space growing to in India?
So yeah, I mean, COVID as a phenomenon has in a lot of ways expedited the transition to digital content consumption. But in spite of that, I still see pay still in its early stages. I think the next few years, I think I was reading a report that in the next few years, India is going to be the third largest OTT country, and that's a massive thing for us to happen, and that's very evident from the fact that we have a combination of Indian and global OTTs, all of them in one place, I guess. It's a very unique situation where people from across different industries and factions are all trying to have a play in this particular phenomenon, if you like.
Indeed. Across television broadcasting and even across streaming platforms, regional content is really a big growth accelerant, right? And Hoichoi is on top of every Bengali mental homepage as the provider of regional content. So where do you think you will grow, Hoichoi will grow in the next 2 to 3 years?
I mean, for us, region is not a strategy, it is the only strategy. We only understand regional. I've always believed in that for the last 25 years, as I mentioned. And like I said, there are 250 million Bengalis, not other languages, of regional, languages that have 100 million plus population each. So I think the work is cut out, and I firmly believe that India, as far as India is concerned, India is a land of multiple languages, each having its own affinity, its own nuances, its own culture. And we've seen lead indicators with all the other media entertainment businesses that have existed in the past, whether it is print, whether it is broadcast, whether it is radio, businesses that dealt with regional languages did exceedingly well, and great brands got created out of it. Yeah. So I continue to believe that the time for regional is now and will continue to be there for the future, and we'd love to have a play in that.
And you will, of course you will. More speed to you, Vishnu. SVF has been one of the great enablers of the cinema industry, the brick and mortar cinema industry, right, which has remained a passion genre for everybody in India. You have been creating and providing content for that. At the same time now, we've seen that there has been a tussle between theatrical and OTT, and theater owners are saying to producers of movies that please give us at least a 4-week to 8-week exclusive window before you take it off the ground and give it to any broadcaster or OTT platform. So you have to look at both interests, right? So what is your emotional policy, and what business decision will you take to override the emotional policy if you have to? When I'm saying emotional policy, I refer to your inherent inborn desire to support on-ground theatrical exhibition. I'm sure, am I assuming when I say that, being presumptuous?
No, not at all. I think there's a little, it's not a very widely known fact, but we own quite a few cinema screens also. I'm talking about miniplexes screens.
Of course, that's why I'm saying this.
Right, so it's operating across content and cinemas and OTT, which I think puts us in the midst of a lot of, things that we keep muddling over. As far as purely Hoichoi is concerned, I have always believed, and the team at Hoichoi has always believed, that a film becomes bigger when it gets a theatrical release.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about films that have a wide appeal. And that's been a firm belief, and we've seen that happen over a period of time. Case in point, even the biggest films of SVF, including, like I mentioned, Kaka Babu, Golandas, etc., we've held off for a long period of time, in spite of the fact that we could have released it on our platform and got very wide viewership for that matter. Because we continue to believe the cinema experience is here to stay. It's not going away anywhere. As far as the window is concerned, we've stuck to a minimum of 4 weeks till now. I think that's market dynamics which will continue to play out, and we'll see how it goes and how audiences react to it. But what is for sure is that the cinema experience is not going away anywhere. It will metamorphosize into something else, which is great. I think it's an evolution of everything that has existed for such a long time. It holds a unique place in all our hearts, I guess.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Short episode, yes, but a lot of insights. Thank you very much, Vishnu, and all the very best to Hoichoi in its 5th year. I enjoyed my conversation. I enjoyed the insights. What did you think about the little chat you had with me on The Master's Voice on Mediabrief.com?
Thank you, Pavanji. As always, great chatting with you. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you, Mediabrief. I do dip into the Master's Voice podcast series time and again, and I think it's been a great chat, and all the very best.
Vishnu Mohta, co-founder Hoichoi, Executive Director SVF, was my very distinguished and very, very dear guest on this episode of The Master's Voice. That young veteran is a stellar professional. He has led Hoichoi across 4 spectacular years, and as it steps into its 5th, I'm sure it's bound and destined for lots of great work and great results. Till we meet again in the next episode of The Master's Voice on Mediabrief.com, this is your host and friend Pavan Chawla saying, stay safe, take care, bye-bye.